up here if you'd like. No? Okay. All right. So Pam's got a story to tell. It will glue you to your seat, and then we'll ask her some questions when she's done. Yeah? Look at that.
Well, if I'm your main attraction, I'm sorry. My story's not that fantastic. Just like anybody, you know, I started doing drugs when I was 14. I attempted my first robbery when I was 16. I ran away, was living in Kentucky, and with a guy who was 21, I was 15, and then a year later I was 16, back down there. And anyway, I was hungry, and they told all these stories in Kentucky that because of the coal mining, that the winos on the street were actually really wealthy men who had lost their mind, and that they had all this money in their pockets. So this guy's passed down these stairs, and there's this paper bag wadded up in his pocket. So I kept trying to sneak that bag down his pocket, and every time I would, he'd like rouse a little bit. So I'm thinking, you know, I gotta knock him out. So I'm 16, mind you. Well, on TV, you know, anything you hit somebody in the head with, clunk, they're out. So the only thing around was his shoe. He had on like these little leather flat shoes on his feet. So my thinking, I slipped that shoe off his head, I reached for that bag, I pulled it out and slapped him in the head, hard as I could. And it shocked both of us because he woke up. Well, so now I've got his bag and he's chasing me. And I think the only reason he didn't catch me was because he only had on one shoe. So that actually worked in my favor. But the only thing in the bag was just, it was so sad, was just a couple crumpled up Snicker bars. And I felt so bad I couldn't even eat them. And I couldn't go give him back because I was really scared of him then. But, so a couple years later, got a little smarter. So I just figured, you know, if you're going to do a robbery, you should use a gun. So I did. And I went to prison for the first time. I got arrested a couple weeks after I turned 19. And I got 4 years in Florida. I was down there hanging out, didn't have no money, so had to rob a Wendy's to get some money. And anyway, so I did almost 2 years. I did 21 months in Florida. I got out, was out 9 months, and well, when I first got out of prison, because for some reason, just getting a job just didn't occur to me. And because when you want to just party and hang out, and I wasn't really an addict then, I just wanted to be on the set. You know, I just wanted to be a part of whatever was going on. So when I first got out of prison, it was right before I turned 21. I needed some money, so for a couple months I tried prostitution and realized I just wasn't a people person. So I went so I went back to doing the robberies because, you know, when you're in prison, it's like, once you get over the shock of it, you know, it's just really good thinking time. So I figured out what I did wrong. So now I really knew how to do it and get away with it. So I did a whole bunch of robberies. Well, I got caught. And so and I'm so grateful that I did my crimes, that I'm the age that I am. I'm almost 50. And I'm so grateful that I did my crimes in the 80s. Because people today just don't stand a chance. You know, you've got cameras, you got heroes with cell phones videotaping you. You know, it's just not like it was then. And now they send you a lot harder too. Because back then I got 3 8-year sentences. I got a 12-year sentence, 3 8-year sentences from Fort Wayne. Anderson gave me 12 years with 4 suspended. Ohio gave me a 5 to 25. So out of all that, though, they ran it concurrent. So if you have not embarked on a life of crime, just get a job, because it's too late for you. So, haven't put that plug in for working. I did 4 years and 3 months. Still I couldn't get it right. I did get out and try, and there's a really sad part to my story. The second time I got arrested, I was just a few weeks pregnant when I got arrested. So I did my whole pregnancy and had my daughter chained to a bed at the hospital because I was in prison. And when my parents had to raise her, and so when I got out, she was about 3.5. I didn't have a clue on how to take care of myself or a child. and my parents ended up having to raise her for her whole life. And you know, you always think that the opportunity will be there later to make things right, and but sometimes that don't happen, and it hasn't happened for us. I read this story about Joshua and Caleb. And when they went in to take the land of Canaan, they went to spy it out, and the door was open, the anointing was there, and they didn't take it. You know, they were scared. So then when they tried, you know, God said, okay, you're not going to do it now, you know, He shut the door. Well, then they tried to run in, and they got a beat down, is what they got. So if you have an opportunity to do something, like, don't think you can pull it off, and that it'll be okay later, because sometimes it's not. So, having said that, I was out 3 years, and then I shot a man, and he lived. So, it's okay. Which is why I would recommend, if you're going to shoot somebody, you should practice on someone else first, because you really don't know until you've done it what's going to happen. And you know, I really didn't want to shoot him, but he wouldn't quit calling me. And so, I'm not a telephone person, text me. So, all the way out there, I'm thinking, I really didn't want to shoot him, you know, maybe I could talk him out of, you know, being a stalker. So, and I'm thinking now, when I go in, you know, should I shoot him in the ear? You know, I'm thinking, back of the neck, you know. And TV, anywhere you hit him in the head, they're dead. Don't take criminal advice from television. I'm telling you, don't go that way. So anyway, when I did try to talk to him, and I wasn't getting nowhere, and I'm just thinking, I just got to shoot him. We weren't even arguing, so he didn't have a clue that it was coming, which is something I learned from being a teenager was, you know, when you're smaller than somebody, you just got to strike first. So I just stood up very calmly and pulled the gun out and shot him in the head. But I did not think that he might react to that. So as soon as he seen the gun, he hit my hand. So the bullet went in his head and come out the top. So my clever thinking, I'll shoot him again. Well, the gun jammed. So I didn't see that coming. So we struggled for a minute. He ran out the room. Well, if he's leaving, I'm leaving. So I went for the car. I get to my car. My car was parked by the front door with the passenger side facing the door. So I run around the car, get ready to go in, and he's about where this young lady's sitting with a shotgun leveled at my head. Well, that stunned me, because I kind of thought he was overreacting. It's like, you know, I didn't kill you, you know. I felt like I was the victim. You deserve to be shot. I mean, what woman doesn't know a man who should have been shot at least once? And if they live, it does not mean they're a keeper. And two, if you push a woman to the point that she has to shoot you, take it like a man. That's all I can tell you. Amen, brother. Yeah. So anyway. Don't encourage her. He didn't die. I was very frustrated. There's no victim, there's no crime. Unfortunately, my victim was still alive. So that didn't go the way I planned. So the next day I get arrested. Well, oh, the story, when he's got the gun pointed at my head, it's like for a second I just froze. And that was something else. I learned about Jesus as a teenager. But I always thought, you know, I could live my life, do what I wanted to, and at the last minute, just like that sinner on the cross, you know, beside Jesus, I could say, God, forgive me, and I could still slip in. Well, when he had that shotgun leveled at my head, I did not think of Jesus. I couldn't think of anything. I was just stunned. Well, nothing, in that second, nothing happened, so I just jumped in the car and left. Well, the next day they come and they arrest me, and the headlines in the newspaper said, 2 jammed guns saved 2 lives. Oh, wow. He pulled that trigger of a double-barrel shotgun, and his gun jammed. This November, in a couple weeks, would be my 21st year anniversary in hell. And that's no parole. You know, no phone calls home. You can't take it back. Nothing. And that only just dawned on me a few weeks ago. I was like, wow, I don't have to celebrate that anniversary. It's like, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
You know? So, and God knew, and thank goodness I had parents that were praying for me. I don't care how far out there you think, whoever it is you're praying for, how far out there you think, how far going you think that they are, you keep praying for them. Because that could be the only thing that stops that bullet for them. So, I got 10 years, which didn't really surprise me. I did about 5.5 of it. During the course, okay, these 3 times of going back to prison, altogether I did almost 11.5 years. And so, of course, your whole reality changes while you're in prison. So, of course, I got involved with women. So I was in relationships with women for about a little over 20 years. So I had that going against me on top of everything else. And I just really have felt it on my heart a few different times to mention that at this church. And I don't know if there's somebody here that struggles with homosexuality or bisexuality or not being sure of your sexual orientation, but God didn't make a mistake when He made you. He knew exactly what He was doing, and I believed that lie. I started believing it, that I was so mad at God because I was like, you made me, and you knew that I would turn out this way, and you made me anyway, and I blamed Him. So even when that man didn't shoot me, God knew for the next 16 years. He is so patient. He's so loving. He never gives up. He knew it would be 16 more years from that day before I would surrender to Him, and He still said, I'm going to save you. It's like, why? And I blamed Him, and I was mad at Him because I knew I was going to hell. I just knew I was going to hell. There was no other choice. I figured I was born gay. You made me this way, and I was mad at Him for it. He didn't make me gay. He didn't make nobody gay. And the way my dad explained it to me was, I just had to deal with a guy this morning downtown about this very same thing, and he's just separated from his lover, and he's trying to give it to Jesus, and he was crying. It's just kind of real fresh in my heart because you don't know who you are. Satan is such a liar, and he'll confuse you, and you're like, if that's not who I am, who am I? You're a new creation in Christ. That's who you are. Yeah. So the way Dad told me was that, like if they want to make an exotic fruit that tastes like a pear and an apple, he said they split the branch off of one tree, like the pear tree, and they graft it into the apple tree. And the way they do that, they take this wire and they wrap it around. So now the sap from the apple tree is going up into the pear branch, and then it makes a fruit that tastes like a pear and an apple. Oddly enough, this fruit has no seeds. It can't reproduce on its own. So every time when they want to do this, they have to go through this process. So we get broke off from where we belong. We get put someplace where we're not supposed to be. And we get all wrapped up. And we've got this poison coming up through us for so long. We think that's who we were created to be, and it's a lie. It's a lie from the pit. Because that's not who we are. So, having said all that, I got out of prison. I was out about 2 years, and I figured it had been long enough since I had smoked crack that I could do it socially. Well, that took me on like another 8-year run. There was nothing nice about being a long-term crack addict. I lived in houses with no running water, no lights, you know. I'd have to go get food from the food bank and return it to the store. Broken dented boxes, trying to get enough money to get a hit of dope. It's a really ugly, desolate life. So now I've got all my whole past, and I'm an addict, and I know there's nothing for me ahead but death, because there was nothing to me that was bigger than the crack pipe. There was nothing else what can break that. That's your whole world revolves around that, and it's kind of hard to explain. And even like this month, God's opened the door. I've shared my testimony in 3 different jails this month. They're such an easier crowd than you guys. I get nervous in front of Christians, but
you're great.
Christians are family. All right. Quit looking at me, family. I knew I didn't have anything. I was going to die a crack addict. I was so sure I was going to die smoking crack that the one sensible thing I did was I went to the funeral home and arranged my cremation. and I made payments on it because I thought, you know, I hadn't done anything for my family in all my life. Why should they be responsible for disposing of me? And if I didn't make no other payment during the month, I made that cremation payment. I even paid extra for insurance so that if I died before it was paid off, it would be covered. And that's the only bill that I kept paid. So should I happen to fall down up here, you can just sweep me out the door because they're going to come pick me up. That's the one good thing I did. But there was no hope. And the reason I say about going to the jail was because it's hard for me to portray how dark my life was. Because God has given me so much joy. And it's like to try to even revisit that and to remember, don't think I can really portray it because He's done such a work, such a complete work. And the best way I could explain it is like when you have a dirty glass of water, just a filthy glass of water. You've got this huge pitcher of clear water, and you're just pouring it like into the glass, and it just kind of filters out all the dirt till the water's clear, and that's what God's done to me. He's just kept pouring Himself in till all the dirty stuff is gone. And it was only like 3 or 4 weeks ago, well, probably 4 or 5 weeks ago now, because I still felt that condemnation. And Tom said, somebody here is living under condemnation. And that finally, last dirty drop was flushed out. I finally don't feel like that's who I am anymore. But all this time, even though God's done a work in me, and one time I tried to do the thing that I thought all Christians do, and I joined the little book club at the church I was going to, because that's what Christians do. They read books and they talk about it. So I tried going, and I'm looking at these people, and they just looked they raised their kids, they had jobs, you know, they were married, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't fit here. So I went home and I'm on my knees and I'm crying and I'm telling God, you know, I'm so sorry that I'm nothing, that I'm worthless, that I've never done anything, I'll never be nothing. And God just showed me, He has to talk to me in pictures because I only went to the 9th grade, so I need phonics. So I see this picture of this paintbrush laying in this huge hand. And He said, that's all you have to be? It's just that paintbrush in my hand. And when you think about it, it's just astounding because, like, look at that, I don't know, was it Michael D'Angelo or somebody painted that great big thing and couldn't have been done without the paintbrush. What ability did the paintbrush have to plan any of that design? What ability did the paintbrush have to go pick out the colors? What money did the paintbrush have? What strength? Nothing. But yet it couldn't have been done without the paintbrush. Got it? So I don't have to have nothing. That's all I have to do is just lay in His hand and He'll paint the picture. That's what's so great about God. So then, but still, you know, that held me for a while. And then when Dad had told me, I'm just, you know, you still hold it. You still pull it with you. And then, so I'm going to tell you the things God taught me in pictures. One other thing Dad told me, he felt like I was supposed to go in the prison and share my story. And it's like, you know, all I can really tell him is, you know, sorry for your luck, because you got to do it. I did, you know, get over it. So I started praying, and I said, God, you know, what can I possibly tell them? You know, what can I possibly say to them? And it was, I seen the auditorium, like where they do the services, and in the seats was all these flowers, wildflowers. And it just dawned on me, that's what we are. He just said, you know, we're His wildflowers. And there's these wildflowers like marigolds, and Dad said they stink. And you can go to the store and you can buy them in a flat, and they all look alike, they all about the same height, they're all about the same color scheme. And people dig up the ground all nice and plant them and water them, and I just hate those pampered little flowers. Because some of us, it's not like that for us. And you know what, those flowers, that's what they need. But then come the first, you know, change of season or drought or anything, they're just going to wither up and die. They just give up the ghost. And then next year you got to go rebuy them all over again. But it's not like that with wildflowers. It's like, we're going to get blown everywhere. And Dad told me that flowers, the way that they get around is their seeds blow on the wind. So we don't know if we're going to land on a mountain, in a desert, in a forest. We don't know where we're going to land, but we know we're coming up. And that's what God showed me, was He had to put something a little different in us than in those pampered little spoiled flowers. Because we're going to get beat down by the wind, the rain, the storms. Sometimes we never know when we're going to get another drink of water. We just know we got to hold on. And we're sometimes in like a whole big place of blandness. You'll just see one wildflower stand there all by itself. Ridiculous. But when you see it, you're like, wow, it just catches your eye. And that's how we are. We're that wildflower. We're going to be that color where there's nothing else blooming. That's where we're going to be at. So I still didn't, where you been, Isaac? So I still didn't know where I fit. So this is where the homeless ministry come in. Oh, and then, I don't know why I just feel the need to tell you this, but since I got out of prison in '97, I've moved 26 times that I can remember. So each time I've moved, because when you're an addict, you don't really stay no place long. So you're always on the move, and to some people that's astounding, and to some people that's just life. So I just downsize. Well, somebody in Ohio is donating a van to me for the ministry for downtown, and I told Mom and Dad, I hope I'm not going to have to live in it, because it's like I'm living so small right now. It's like, Lord, don't make me no smaller. But anyway, so I didn't really feel like I fit in the church. Like I just don't think I'm the type to put on a polyester skirt, throw my hair in a bun and teach Sunday school. That's just not my ministry. Just not crazy about kids. So, somebody had invited me downtown and about where they were serving the guys and stuff. So I started going down and being a part of it. And I started talking to them and getting to know them. And I'm not a cook or nothing. Well, the people who were taking me down, after, I don't know, a month or two, they quit going. And I know all these guys are going to show up, waiting to eat. It's like, what's going on, So I started baking cookies, which was really tragic at first. My kitchen is just like a hostile environment, and I'm probably the only person I've ever met that's had eggshells actually come up out the trash can and hit them in the forehead, like a whole stack of them, because I was trying to push the trash down and let go, and they said, flap. But anyway, God will take what you think you can't do, but He can do it through you. But you have to be a willing heart. You have to be willing. So when I first started doing it, I was on food stamps. Because of my physical problems, I wasn't able to work no more. So that was kind of frustrating, because I thought that Christians, well, for one thing, I thought the first thing they did was move out of the hood, because I found out years ago Jesus didn't live there. But then I found out that wasn't true. So, you have all these misconceptions about being a Christian. You're going to move out of the hood, you're going to get wealthy, you're going to be in good health. None of that has happened, and I still love Jesus. So, all I had starting out, and the reason I'm telling you this is not for my glory, but I just want you to know what God can do with your nothing. I had $200 a month in food stamps. And so I found out that I could live on about $7.50 a week, because I wanted to feed them. I wanted to take stuff to them, but I couldn't afford to feed both of us. So if I ate oatmeal, rice, and beans, it cost me $7.50 a week. And I did that for about 6 weeks. And then, I don't know if people noticed I would look malnutritious, but people started donating and started helping me and asking me what I was doing. And there's been times when a church has called me and said, we got these cases of noodles, would you like them? Or one time when I was making cookies, a guy drove up downtown and gave me 10 bags of flour, 10 bags of white sugar, 10 bags of brown sugar. And it's never been in me. It's never been in what I have to give them. It's what He has. And just yesterday, a guy called me and said, somebody give me my name, and he owns a store that sells Amish foods, and would I like to come pick up a donation? I went and picked it up. Well, when I did, on my way up there, this image of this family just came to my head that I haven't seen in like more than a year. The parents don't speak hardly no English, but I knew I was supposed to drive that food to their house. And let me tell you, just being a willing, so I just took it, dropped it off, said God bless you, and left. And I know the kids got to interpret for the parents, but God just surprised me yesterday because I was so tired. I was having a long day, and like, you don't feel like going out in the rain, but I went and did it. And then this joy just came up in me. Like when somebody just shows up unexpected and gives you a gift, and God just surprised me. And that's what he'll do, is he'll just surprise you with a blessing just to lift you up and just to take you. Because I still had 100 sandwiches to make and 50 lunches to pack last night to give the guys this morning. So it was a little bit inconvenient to run out in the rain and drive 40 minutes to go get that stuff and take it to a family that can't even understand me. But I knew that's how God blesses me. And people like this, and while I'm on this mission, a homeless guy who used to live here calls me from Florida. Now he's homeless in Florida. So we're chatting. He's like, what are you doing? So I'm telling him, and he just starts laughing. And I said, I just never know how my day is going to go. And I love it because it's his plan. But you have to be open. You just have to take those phone calls. You have to see what God's going to do. If you're just like, I'm too busy, I'm too tired, my body hurts, don't tell me because I don't want to hear it. So God can use you. He can use you through your most weakest, wore out, brokest moment. God can use you because it's not your strength. It's his. It's not your money. It's his. And he's going to provide it. He'll do it without me. If I don't go down there and feed those guys every weekend, he's going to do it without me. 2 weeks ago, Tom sent me a text, said, let me know what your financial needs are. I said, I'm good. I had $20 for food for 2 days for the guys. And I said, I'm good. And I just felt like I needed to wait on God. So, want to know what God did? I shall tell you. A few days later, Mom calls, says, $100 came for you for ministry. A couple days later, $300 came for ministry. $70 came for ministry. God is going to send it in. He's going to feed them through you. Somebody's got to be the paintbrush. Somebody has to be the vessel. Somebody has to be able to convey the colors. But we have to be willing. All we got to do is be empty and willing, and he'll pick you up and do whatever he wants to do with you.
Amen.
Got it? Good, because I think I'm done with you.